Hello everyone! 5 years and one-ish week ago today, I created this very YouTube channel. Purple colored, though at the time it was not called purple colored. Last year, to celebrate this anniversary, I made a video redrawing some of my old, now private video thumbnails in my modern art style and in my more experienced pen. So this year, I thought I'd do another similar art-related video, because I do eventually want to do more art videos on my channel. But I didn't have enough time to do my original video idea, so I'll be saving it for another time. Instead, today, to celebrate 5 years, I'll be going back to a tweet I made a couple months ago, asking some of y'all what Loomians I should draw in my style. And that tweet got a couple of responses. So today, I'll be picking about 6 or 7 of my favorite responses to that tweet. I will not have enough time to get to everyone's requests, unfortunately, but in the future, I do want to come back to this tweet, and I might even make more tweets like this in the future, so definitely stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's get drawn. Tweet wants me to draw Celesteing, the Christmas roaming. Sure. I've always really liked Celesteing. It's one of the more simpler roamings from the entire game, but I've always been a big fan of it. It's just got such a charming design. I will say though, it's kind of difficult to draw. Like, I wasn't really sure how I was supposed to do the head, because when you're 3D modeling it, it's a little bit simpler, I'd assume. I mean, I'd still assume that's kind of difficult, but it'd be a little bit easier since you know, you could hollow out the inside of the head and you could put the little pendulum. While here, I wasn't really sure how to express that there was like a little pendulum thingy inside of, like it's like an eye. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a cool design choice, but it's kind of difficult to draw. You can see here my first few tries at making the bell shape for the body don't really work out, and same with the hands, hand wing things that has on its they're supposed to look like arm limbs. They're hard to draw. They really are. Like, until you actually try it out, it doesn't feel like something that should be hard to draw, but it was actually kind of difficult. It was also my first time drawing Celesteing in literally forever. I think this might have actually been my first time drawing Celesteing, so it could also be that I just haven't drawn Celesteing that much. You can see after a while I just gave up and started building off the head. And the head has an interesting arc shape. It's another thing that I would have never assumed was hard to draw, but until you actually study it and see okay, how am I supposed to draw this, it really reveals itself to be kind of a difficult process to, you know, 2Dify, if that makes sense. You can see there I adjust the bottom part of the bell a little bit and then draw the bottom part of the pendulum to round that part of the body out, and then obviously I have to try my hand at the wings again. I really can't get it to work though, but after a couple more attempts at just looking at the model just a little bit closer, I think I actually got it down a little bit. You can see this is what I settled on. I had to go away. I don't know why I didn't just stop the recording, but you can see this is what I settled on, and I think it works quite nicely. I think I could have done a little bit better on the wings, but I think after how many times I retried it, I think this was the best that I was getting. But aside from the arms, I think I got the rest of its body pretty well. I think it actually looks kind of nice. So you can see here, I started coloring. I didn't know how to approach the glowy bits because it has a lot of glow on its body, but I think after a while I got it down enough. For Celesteing, I actually used a different coloring brush than I did for the rest of the drawings in this video. After this drawing, I started using a different brush. I think this brush that I used, the round brush, I think it works well for Celesteing, but after this I started using the syrup brush that Procreate provides you with, and I honestly just prefer that brush a lot more. I think it's easier to color with. The glowy bits, instead of making them glowier, I actually ended up just scrapping that idea entirely and instead just drawing over the line art layer, or the sketch layer I guess, with a white pencil, and I think that turned out quite nicely. So anyways, here's me putting a little bit of glow behind Celesteing, and I think we're done. Here it is. I actually experiment with something else later in this video, and I go back and add it to Celesteing, so you'll see how I adjusted later on in the video very shortly. But yeah, here's the temporary final Celesteing. Jay wants me to draw Gamma Bunery, which is her favorite Loomian, I think. Let's do it. Bunery is another Loomian that's a little bit hard to draw without practice because it's literally like a geometric shape. And you can see me here, I'm struggling with it just a little bit. So it took me a while to get it down, but eventually I settled on something. I settled on this. Like gumdrop shape, and the flaps at the bottom were even harder to make them look good. Bunery is not a Loomian made for 2D drawing, I can tell you that much. But eventually with some resizing, I think I got a shape that I'm satisfied with. I like the face that I drew for it. I think it's fine. And coloring it wasn't hard either because it's literally just white. Drawing the pattern on it though took a bunch of attempts because I couldn't like find myself to be satisfied with anything that I drew. Eventually I got it down though. It's not perfect, but I think it works. I lowered its opacity just a little bit. I think it looks a little bit better this way. And then yeah, I drew the wisp on it and we're done. Here is the final Gamma Bunery. It was a lot simpler to draw than Celesteing. It just took a while to get the shape down, you know? But after that, it was pretty easy. Pincio wants me to draw Nevermare. I'll certainly give it my best shot. Alright, so I did work on this sketch a little bit off camera because initially, my initial sketch that I drew, like I spent like 10 minutes on, it was terrible, so I wanted to restart, and this is what I like started on, so I decided to just build off of this. It's not amazing, it's pretty bare bones still, but I decided it's good enough to start working with. I want to do a bit more of a dynamic pose, because Nevermare in all of its official renders is just, it feels so static. So I had the horse kind of like crouched down. I know horses don't do that, but my idea was like, it was like kind of like sliding. This isn't like a new idle position that I tried to come up with for Nevermare. This is more like it was moving, it was galloping, and then like it stopped and like started sliding, you know? That's like the concept I had for this pose. This isn't meant to be an idle pose. I went back on the horse's head multiple times. I feel like I could have made it a little bit longer looking back at it now, but you can see it here. I'm redrawing for a second time. I couldn't really settle on a specific head that I liked. It took me a while to make it actually look good. Before I moved on to Nevermare itself, I also wanted to finish off the rest of the horse's body, so I obviously had to move Nevermare out of the way. I think I could have done a little bit better on the horse's body, but it's not too bad. That front leg is a little outward. If I could go back, I'd try to change that, but oh well, too late now. And then finally we have the tail. Nevermare has a cool little tail. I like Nevermare's tail. It's cool. Since I'm not using like any proper line art, I'm just like, you know, drawing it. I'm just coloring over the sketch. I do go back and clean up the sketch a little bit because it is super messy right now. But before I do that, now it's time for the Nevermare parasite itself. When I was initially drawing Nevermare's eye in the initial sketch, I actually drew it wrong. I thought it was like a scar type thing, but actually it's just a regular eye with a little glowy bits coming out of it. It's hard to describe, but I always forget how his eye actually looks. Like I keep drawing it with like the scar shape instead of, you know, the glowy bits. You could also see I'm messing around with the mouth a lot. I couldn't really get it to look that good. Eventually I just settled on this and said that I'd come back to it later, but yeah. I was having a bit of trouble with the hands, so I decided to draw the scythe on its own on a different layer, and then I could just adjust it depending on how I want to draw the hands. Nevermare's got some weird ass hands, dude. And then for the scythe itself, again, I used that one other render that I've shown on this video like 15 different times of the side of Nevermare so that I could see the scythe itself, and then I just kind of tried to copy it as best as I could. I really like how the plant life on the scythe itself looks. I think it ended up turning out really nicely. And then you can see on Nevermare's actual scythe, it's chipped. It's not like perfectly sharp. So I tried chipping the scythe here as well, and I think it looks nice enough. After I said that, I went to go see if I could find the model of its scythe being chipped myself, but I could not find it, so I have no idea where I got that from. But I already drew it, so it's too late to change now. Oops. Right about now, I realized that Nevermare also had a cape. That was my first time seeing Nevermare with a cape, but it's there, so I had to draw it. And it took me a couple attempts, I can't lie. The scythe's blade positioning was a little bit awkward, so I decided to flip it over and put it on the other side, just because it was like covering up too much of the horse's body and it felt a little bit weird. So to make it a little less awkward to color in later, I decided to flip it around so it goes around Nevermare, and I think it's a little bit better this way. I think it's better composited, etc. And yeah, with that I can move on to coloring. The coloring here is super simple. The only thing I could really say is I switched over to the syrup brush finally, and also made it so that like the past Nevermare portion of the body is separated from the horse. So the parts where the little vine things connect with the horse, I'm gonna have to like connect them later on, which is a little tedious, but it's not too bad. The extra stuff like the slash on the chest and the eye and the mouth I'll do later. I just want to get the base colors down first. You can see I'm kind of cleaning up the sketch as I go along. It probably would have been easier if I cleaned up the sketch before I started coloring, but oh well. For the eye and the mouth, at least like the glowy bits, I decided to try to erase the original line art entirely and kind of draw over it so like the glowiness of it is expressed more. I also just like redrew the shape for the mouth for Nevermare entirely because after looking at it again, it was a lot simpler than I remembered it being. Then for the little slash mark, I used the same color for the eyes, but I didn't erase the line art. And instead, around the line art, I also added the red color that Nevermare usually has. And I think it worked, although I do go back to it later to kind of make it look a little bit better because right now it's not perfect. Then I do the cape and then we're pretty much done. It's time to move on to the scythe. And the scythe is super easy. It's just a regular old gray. And then for the plant life that's around the scythe, I just copied over the green color from Nevermare's body, or specifically like the little leaf tie thing that he has, because it's just a little bit more saturated. So yeah, super simple, but I'm personally really proud of it. The scythe is probably my favorite part from this Nevermare sketch. I love it so much. And after some finishing touches, we can move on to the horse. I actually realized I forgot to draw the back right hooves, so I quickly copy pasted that before I started on anything else. And then after that, coloring it is super simple, but I wanted to clean up the sketch that I made for it first, since just like with regular Nevermare, it was super messy, so I wanted to clean it up before I actually started coloring. Didn't take too long, and I honestly love using this brush. It's so fun. So yeah, I was done within a couple minutes. I feel like I could have done better being consistent with the vine patterns because they're not the same as with regular Nevermare at all, but I don't feel like doing that, so sorry. And with that, here is the final Nevermare drawing. I am so proud of this one. I am so proud of the sketch. I love it so much. Here I just added a little bit of extra glow and a little bit of a shadow, and I think it just looks even better. So yeah, there you go, Pinsu. Next up, Lofir wants me to draw Erupton. This one I feel like is going to be a little bit interesting. I've never drawn Erupton before, and especially after its redesign, it's a lot more complicated now. So I kind of just winged it. I did try to give it a bit more of a dynamic pose, kind of like its new reanimation. Though I didn't draw it in the same pose as its reanimation, I did kind of take inspiration from it. I will say that the claws that I drew for it are not the best, and I feel like I could have very easily changed those before I drew the rest of its body. So I kind of regret that, but that's just me looking at it now with hindsight though, so whatever. Also, his arms are a little bit too short, but again, whatever. Part of the sloppiness on the claws and the talon thing, like the feet things that it has, part of it comes from the fact that this video is kind of rushed. I was supposed to upload this on my anniversary and it's well past that at the time of recording this, so it might have been a little bit more rushed than I would have liked, but I made sure to still clean up the sketch as best as I could before I started coloring. Clean up parts that might feel a little bit weird, perhaps uncanny, like the tongue was kind of weird. When I was coloring, I tried to do something a little bit different, but I ended up just going with the ink pen strategy again, because it works well. Same strategy as I did with Nevermare, similar strategy that I did with Celesteing and Bunery, just with some more hot colors this time. For the arms, because they do fade into like a reddish color towards the hands, I just put them on a different layer and then put a clipping mask over them that had a red gradient on it. Super simple, but I thought I'd point it out because it is technically on a different layer than the rest of the color. The in-game Eruptodon's eyes are incredibly detailed, and they honestly look awesome, so I tried to recreate it as best as I could with this drawing of Eruptodon. I did a similar thing with Eruptodon's eyes as I did with its arms, where I just made a new layer for the color, and then I, put a clipping mask over it so I could do the gradients more effectively. I think I could have made the iris a little bit brighter now that I look back at it, but aside from that, I'm really proud of the eyes. I think they look amazing. And we're basically done. I'm just adding the extra effects like I did with Nevermare onto Erupton as well, where I had like a little bit of a shadow and then also like a glowy bits. If I was doing like an actual shadow, it would be a little bit more detailed. I'd like, go in and like sketch it myself. But this is just like a simple like crossfade shadow. It's nothing crazy. I think they accent the drawing super well. I love it a lot. And then as you can see here, I'm going back to add it to Celesteing as well. So yeah, there's Eruptodon. Next up, Phoenix said this, which means she wants me to draw a Swimp. Of course. Now, I will admit I'm not the best at drawing aquatic fish-like creatures. I've never really been good at them, so I was kind of intimidated going into this. And you can see in the speed paint, I went back on Swimp's eyes like multiple times because I could not get the derpy look that Swimp has perfectly. Eventually, I settled on this, which is alright, but I feel like I could have done a little bit better. And another thing is the mouth. Like, I cannot, like, I don't know how to draw fish mouths. They're so, like, rotund and flat. Like, how do I draw that? I think after a couple attempts, I got it down somewhat well. I don't know, I'm just saying I could have done better, but yeah, this was a quick one because Swimp is a small creature with not many details. Just add the glow and we're done. Looking back, I kind of made its like foreheadish area, or whatever you would call that area, a little bit too wide or like big. Like if you look on the actual model, it's a lot thinner, which is kind of what I mean. Like I don't know fish anatomy. I don't really know how to draw a fish anatomy, but I think this works. This is passable. If I submitted this to a teacher, they would give me a B-. Mango wants me to draw either Gastroke or Guardrone. I'm gonna choose Gastroke because it's a simpler design. I would be more than happy to draw Gastroke. Gastroke being probably one of the oldest designs in the game that hasn't been redesigned yet, probably behind like Dusk and the starters. It's a pretty simple design. I don't have to put too much thinking into it. It's a tree slug. It's one of my favorite Loomians in the game, honestly. I love Gastroke. It is due for a remodel / redesign sometime soon, hopefully. But either way, I personally love Gastroke. It is so awesome. I don't really have much else to say. I kind of just went on my intuition here. As I said, it's a super simple design, so there's not many parts that I struggled with. I decided to draw the leaves of the tree, or like the blob things that are on this tree. I decided to draw them later on its own layer. I decided that it would look better than trying to do it with line art, and I honestly don't know how to approach the leaves on Gastroke. I would really like to redraw Gastroke sometime. I honestly might attempt to make like a proper rendered image of Gastroke, just so that I could like properly attempt its tree, Yeah, it's a simple design, but it works super well. And even though I'm satisfied with the final product that I drew today, I would like to reattempt it sometime in the future, definitely. Low-key though, these like little ear, antenna, horn things that Gastroke has, not really sure what they're supposed to be. They gave me some trouble, I can't lie. Like, I don't really know why, because they're super simple, like they're not even like complicated designed horns or antenna. I think they're supposed to be antenna. And they're not even like complicated antenna designs, but it still took me a while to be satisfied with them, honestly. You can see my pathetic attempt to finish the tree on Gastroke's back here. I think it's fine, but as I said, I think I could have done better. I might try to make a properly rendered Gastroke drawing sometime soon, because I think it would just be fun to attempt like a proper Gastroke drawing, you know? Anyways, now we're just adding the finishing touches like I did with every other Loomian in this video. And yeah, there's Gastroke, one of the Loomians of all time, definitely. Also, Gastroke does have like a little green dot under the tree. I do add that later. I just forgot it in the moment because, you know, when it's wiki images, you can't really see it that much. But I add it later, so don't worry. And yeah. Anyways, it's time for our final Loomian of the video. I think I've drawn enough, so let's do one more. Bunpuff asked me to draw. Yeah, Yummy asked me to draw Bunpuff. So I'm like, sure, let's do Bunpuff. I like Bunpuff. Let's do Bunpuff. Bunpuff is like one of my like top 25 Loomians, I'd say, or like somewhere around there, if not that. It's just such a cute little design. I love it so much. I'm pretty sure Mochi was the one behind it. She cooked. Anyways, this is another one that I'd like to redo sometime in the future. Like I had an idea for the pose I wanted the Bunpuff to be in, but I feel like it didn't do it justice enough, you know? That initial sketch I scrapped immediately because I wasn't feeling it, and I tried to do like the same thing but better the second time around, and it definitely turned out a little bit better, but I'd still like to retry it sometime in the future. You could actually see here I didn't actually know what Bunpuff's back looked like because there are no good pictures of it on Google. So I just kind of guessed this, but then I saw Mochi's art of it on Google and Bunpuff was turned around, so I just followed that. I could have also just figured out myself by going into the game, but I did not feel like doing that. You can see I'm drawing Bunpuff's body with the lighter color first. And the reason for that is I feel like it would be easier if I used a darker color as a clipping mask over the main color, since the darker color is less prevalent on Bunpuff, and I feel like it worked out just a little bit better that way. It was just a tiny bit easier. I also did the same thing with Gastroke, if you caught onto that in the previous section. I felt like I should clarify that in case you were confused why I was coloring Bunpuff this way. And with that, we are pretty much done. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for submitting a Loomian if you did. I will definitely go back to the tweet and draw some more of those Loomians sometime in the future. And there's a lot of other good options here that I really want to draw, like Oxydrake, Lunarneer Snikel, Gamma Halvantic, Gleam Halley Nikazune. Phoenix is better at that than me. Dorogo, Gamma Christmas Metronet. It goes on for a while. A lot of people replied. And I'll definitely like to attempt to draw some of these later, so stay tuned. And as I said, I'll also make more tweets like this sometime in the future as well. But yeah, thank you so much for 5 years. I know a lot of you came within the past few months, but I still appreciate you so much. We're so close to 2,000 subscribers. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I definitely plan on making more art videos this year. That is a goal of mine. I want to do that original anniversary video idea that I had sometime in the future because it means a lot to me, and either for my 6th anniversary video or just sometime between then and now, I want to make that video so much. I'm not going to reveal what it is yet, but I have more plans for art videos, and in terms of other games, I have a bunch of Loomian Legacy ideas. I have a bunch of just creature capturing games on Roblox ideas. I will be doing more videos like that hopefully soon. I have some videos that I have pre-recorded from a while ago that I need to get to editing sometime soon, so those will be coming as well, like Loomian Legacy Nuzlocke 6. I also want to do more videos outside of creature capturing games, like I plan to do Murder Mystery 2 sometime. I want to do more Doors videos, and a lot of people want me to do Abyss World, so I'll definitely try to do some more Abyss World. Also, I do want to do some more non-Roblox content, but those will be unlisted on my channel, and you could view them via playlist. There's one playlist like that in my channel right now for Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I plan to do that for Pokemon Legends ZA when that comes out as well. I plan to. I'm not making any promises. They're unlisted because they're not Roblox content. I don't want to put that onto my channel. But yeah, we're about done here. This is the final image. I am so proud of my progress from last year because I made a video similar to this last year. It wasn't, I mean, I had about as much time as I could have ever wanted to make the Loomians in this video, while last year when I made the drawing to Nori's video, I only had 5 minutes. But the improvement is still visible. Like if you go watch that video, it's not great. Or at least my drawings weren't. Kale's were amazing, obviously. But yeah, I think I'm dragging this on for a little bit. Thank you so much for watching. Here's to another year, and fuck AI.